You ever open up your Google Search Console dashboard, see all those charts and those little red notifications, and just feel that wave of panic? You are definitely not alone. It can feel like you're trying to read a doctor's chart with zero medical training. But you know what? Today, we are going to change all of that. We're going to turn that panic into a clear, actionable plan.
Right? It's that splash of red that just gets your heart racing. You see a list of errors and warnings, and it feels like it's screaming that your beautiful website is completely broken. It's confusing, it's really intimidating, and honestly, it's so easy to just close the tab and hope it all goes away. But here's the thing. Those red flags, that's your website trying to talk to you. So first things first, take a deep breath. We are not going to panic. Nope. We're going to get organized. See, the real key to conquering Google Search Console is just having a system, a way to triage what's a true five-alarm fire versus what's just, a helpful suggestion from Google.
And here is our system, our roadmap for today. We'll start by tackling that initial panic. Then, and this is crucial, we'll learn the difference between errors and warnings. We'll pinpoint the critical fires you have to put out right now, look at the important warnings for your site's long-term health, and then wrap it all up by building a proactive plan so you always feel like you're in the driver's seat.
So with all these reports, all this data, where do you even begin? Well, the very first step is to create a hierarchy, to figure out what actually needs your attention immediately. And that all starts with one really, really important distinction.
Which brings us to the absolute core of our triage system. You gotta understand this. Not all alerts are created equal. Not even close. Google basically uses two main categories to tell you about issues: errors and warnings. And getting this distinction, that is the secret to prioritizing your work and, honestly, reclaiming your sanity.
This right here lays it all out. Think of an error like a literal roadblock. It is something that is actively stopping Google from indexing your pages. It's a must fix, like yesterday. A warning, though? That's more like a caution sign on the side of the road. It's a potential problem that could hurt your performance down the line, but it might not be blocking your pages right this second. So let's put it this way. Errors are the emergency room. Warnings are your annual checkup. Okay, so let's start in the emergency room. These are the code red issues, the ones that are actively damaging your site's ability to even be found on Google. When you see one of these, you drop everything else and you focus right here. First up, the big one, a server error, also known as a 5x error. This is serious stuff. Imagine Googlebot walks up to your website's front door to have a look around, but the door is just locked and bolted from the inside. Google can't get in. It can't see a single thing. And if this keeps happening, your pages can be completely dropped from the search results.
So what's causing this locked door? Well, the culprit could be a bunch of things. Maybe you got a huge spike in traffic that just overwhelmed your server. Or maybe your database couldn't connect. Heck, it could even be a single faulty plugin on your WordPress site that's causing the whole thing to crash. The point is, the problem is on your server's end. It's just struggling to answer when Google comes knocking.
So, how do you fix it? It's a pretty clear three-step process. First, you got to diagnose it. Dig into your server logs and find the root cause. Then, act on what you find. Maybe that means disabling that new plugin you just installed. And if you're stuck, do not hesitate to escalate. Call your hosting provider. That's literally what they're there for.
All right, our next critical error is blocked by robots.txt. This one is like accidentally putting a giant "do not enter" sign on your own front door. You are explicitly telling Google's crawler that it is not allowed to visit certain pages, or sometimes even your entire website.
And honestly, you would be shocked at how often this happens by accident. The number one cause? A developer moves the website from a staging or test environment over to the live site. And they just forget to remove the restrictive robots.txt file that was meant to keep the test site private. It is such a simple mistake, but it has some really severe consequences.
Thankfully, the fix here is usually pretty straightforward. All you have to do is go to your website's robots.txt file, find the rule that's causing all the trouble, and just delete it. Then you can use the tester tool right inside Search Console to make absolutely sure Google can get to the page now. Easy as that.
Okay, we've handled the emergencies, we're out of the ER. Now, let's move on to the general health checkup. These are the important warnings that affect your site's performance and really, the experience for your users. They might not get you de-indexed tomorrow, but if you ignore them, they will hurt your rankings over time, for sure.
At the very top of this list are the core web vitals. This is basically Google's way of measuring how a real person experiences your website. LCP measures loading speed, because nobody likes to wait. INP measures how fast your site responds when you click something. And CLS measures visual stability. You know, how frustrating it is when stuff jumps around on the page while you're trying to read? Yeah, that's CLS. These aren't just technical scores. They are a direct measure of user happiness, and an unhappy user is a lost customer.
Now, to get you started, here is one high-impact fix for each of these. For slow loading times, the #1 culprit is almost always massive, unoptimized images. For interactivity problems, you're going to want to look at your JavaScript. And for that super annoying layout shift, a really simple fix is to just make sure you specify the height and width for your images right in the code.
All right, so now we know how to react to problems, let's talk about being proactive. The whole goal here is to move from a state of frantic, panic fixing to a calm, sustainable monitoring routine. This is how you stay ahead of problems before they can actually impact your site.
And look, here's a super simple routine you can start today. Once a week, just glance at the dashboard, see if there are any new critical errors. Once a month, take a little more time to dive into your performance reports like Core Web Vitals. And most importantly, set up email alerts. Let Google be your watchdog. Let it tell you when a big issue pops up so you don't have to go looking for it.
And if you're ever sitting there wondering, why does any of this tech stuff matter? Well, this quote says it all. This is not about being tidy for the sake of it. These errors have a direct line to your wallet. They affect your traffic and ultimately your revenue. The bottom line is, monitoring Search Console isn't just a technical task. It is a business-critical one.
And finally, know your limits. Seriously. While you can totally fix a lot of these issues yourself, don't be afraid to call in a specialist. If you're dealing with really complex server errors, or a security hack, or that dreaded manual action from Google, getting professional help is the smartest and, by far, the fastest way to get it resolved.
So I'll just leave you with this one question to think about. After everything we've gone through today, from critical errors to proactive plans, is your website's technical health an afterthought, something you only deal with when it breaks? Or is it a priority that you actively manage to ensure your success? The choice, of course, is yours.